Oh, there's Brandon. Okay. So, I guess we will call the meeting to order. This would be our first meeting for the Cook County Increment Financing District. And just to be clear, there was some confusion in the past. Kane County is also a member of this JRB because the Cook County TIF includes both Kane and Cook County properties, just to be clear. So Catherine, if you could go ahead and take the roll, please.
Dundee representative. Jennifer Johnson and Brandis
yes.
Martin.
Yeah. Thank you.
We have Cook County representative. Barrington Township representative. Barrington Area Library. Kane County. Dundee Township.
Here.
Elgin Community College District 509. Community Unit School District 300.
Here.
Jennifer Porter. Dundee Township Park District.
Here.
Dave Peterson. East Dundee and Countryside Fire Protection District. And then the Fox River Valley Public Library District.
Here.
Roxanne Bennett and Heather Zabsky.
Okay, so at this point on the agenda, we do have an item to appoint a public member to the JRB. I don't see any public members present. So Greg, do we bypass that?
Correct. You can bypass the appointment of the public member and appointment of a chair because they were done previously and they remain in place unless replaced by the JRB.
Okay, thank you. If I could please get a motion to approve the JRB meeting minutes dated July 13, 2020. If you need more time to review them, let me know.
Does one have to have been there in order to approve, to make a motion?
No.
So move. I second that.
Okay. Jennifer Johnson.
Aye.
Trish Gleese.
Aye.
Jennifer Porter.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
And Roxanne Bennett.
Aye.
Okay, great. So at this time, I will quickly review the report for the Cook County TIF only. And you should have received a memo summarizing all of the TIF districts. I try to do this for you because they're so comprehensive. There's so many of them. But I'll hit the highlights first, and then I'll focus on Cook County, and then we can adjourn into our next meeting. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And Brandis Martin, our finance director, is also on the call, and her and I prepared these reports together. So we'll do the best we can to answer any questions you may have. I am very pleased to report that the village has seen a 56% EAV growth since 2014 to 2020. I attribute that all to the TIF districts for the most part, with some, coming out of the recession, of course. But about 37% we can directly attribute to the TIFs, and then everything else is kind of like a snowball effect from that. The obligations within the TIF districts continue to are exceeding the TIF revenues, but as we're preparing our projections, like for this fiscal year we're headed into on May 1st, we're finding ourselves to be in a more balanced situation for the first time, which is great. So we're paying down our obligations, and the EAV growth is rising at a level where we're now able to satisfy the TIF obligations without subsidizing the TIF funds. The TIF funds do owe the general fund, our operating fund, quite a bit of money, and some other funds that they have borrowed over this time, but it is definitely moving in the right direction, a very positive direction. We continue to approve TIF projects where the revenue that's generated from the subject property is then rebated. In other words, we're not front loading any projects, any redevelopment agreements. We're not taking bonds for any projects. So we've stopped that practice completely within the TIF fund. So we only really offer anything that's generated by a development, then we can offer a rebate based on that, whatever the incremental value. So we're making smart financial decisions in order to keep the TIF funds in a good financial state. We did totally suspend the TIF facade grant program, which is kind of an upfront, basically grant where you don't have to earn any increment on the property. And we replaced it with our BDD facade grant. And BDD is the extra sales tax that we collect on some of the properties, some of the commercial properties within our village. So we've completely taken that obligation off of the TIF altogether, which is another reason why they're doing so well. So with the Cook County TIF, we saw an increment of about $418,000 in the fiscal year 2020 end of year audit. And we budgeted in 2021 $450,000, and our estimate is coming in higher. So there's only really been 2 total projects in the Cook County TIF. One of them is very insignificant and involves an easement. The other one is insurance auto auction. And that actually lies within Cook County. So we do have a redevelopment agreement in place for that. It does earn significant property taxes due to the fact that it's in Cook County and went from undeveloped land to developed land. Areas of focus for the Cook County TIF really involve 590 Healy, which is in front of insurance auto auction. And then there is some floaty property that is adjacent, but it's actually on the King County side, where we're working on a large industrial property there. And I didn't reference it in the memo at this point because we're still in negotiations. But 590 Healy has been acquired by a new property owner, and they have been looking to develop that for some time. So are there any questions on the Cook County TIF?
Does it have a number? Does it have a number? The one thing that I wish the, in addition to the, I love your memo, but in addition to the name and the date it was founded, it would be helpful if it had the TIF number on it. So when I'm looking at the map of TIF districts with the numbers, I can go, oh yeah, that's that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry, like the counties have changed the numbers over time too.
Okay.
So sometimes that's hard for me. But yes, this is number 7.
Number 7.
I'll try to get them all right as we walk through, but sometimes I confuse them myself. I have to look them up.
Okay.
Okay. So are there any other questions on the Cook County TIF? Okay. I'm assuming there's no public comments since there's no members of the public here. Okay, then I guess I can call for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Catherine, can you take the roll?
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay.
Administrator Johnson,
Yes.
Trish Gleese,
Here.
Jennifer Porter,
Yes.
Dave Peterson,
Yes.
Roxanne Bennett.
Yes.
That meeting's adjourned.
Oh, great. Now we will call the meeting to order for the tax increment financing districts, which include Prairie Lakes, Dundee crossings on Route 72 and Route 25, downtown Christina Drive, Route 68 West, South Illinois Route 25, Penny Avenue, and South Illinois Route 72. Catherine, can you please take the roll?
Administrator Johnson,
Yeah, here.
Trish Gleese,
Here.
Jennifer Porter,
Here.
Roxanne Bennett,
Here.
and I don't see any other representatives that have joined us.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, we will bypass items number 3 and 4. If I can get a motion to approve the JRB meeting minutes dated April 13th, 2020 and July 29th, 2020.
I move.
second,
I don't know. We can't hear you,
Oh,
Catherine.
I'm sorry. I got
Oh, there you go.
Jennifer Johnson,
Yes,
Trish Gleese,
Yes.
Jennifer Porter,
Yes.
Dave Peterson,
yes,
and Roxanne Bennett.
Yes.
all right, now I will move into the remaining TIFs to report on. The Prairie Lakes TIF saw an increment in fiscal year 2020 of about 1.2 million. And the estimate is fairly close to the last actual that we're receiving. There is some debt service that's attributable to this TIF, which is 39% of our 2012A GO bond, 75% of an IEPA loan, and then the 2012 limited GO tax increment revenue bond. That's one of our larger bonds that supports the GAT Guns redevelopment agreement. So this is a big obligation for this Prairie Lakes. There's a total of one project, and that project was actually completed, but I am pleased to announce that there's been some development over the last year, which was not funded at all with any additional TIF funding. So we had TIF funding at the beginning of this industrial subdivision, back when it was constructed and the TIF was formed. And then there were 3 lots that sat vacant. But this year we are having development on all of them without any TIF support. So it was just came to be basically that the property owner who was still holding on to these, the developer, it was time for him to get rid of them. And that incentivized the development in itself. So we're very pleased to see that this will be built out and completed before the end of the TIF. And as you know, this is one of our first TIFs that will be rolling off, and it will be rolling off in 2025, I believe. So, or 2024 will be the last year collecting revenue. So the only area of focus we're really working on, it's kind of a joint Prairie Lakes and Christina Drive TIF project, is we are trying to receive some grant funding for an intersection and possible signal at 68 and Penny because of the way the maneuver there, if you are familiar with that area. And also we're continuing to build out south of Route 68, that industrial park. That's part of the Terra Business Park. So we're trying to make that accessible for trucks and future development. So we're trying to get a grant for that. It's the same grant we got for Route 72 and Christina Drive, which we're still trying to finish that up with IDOT. But that's our one area of focus on Prairie Lakes. So the good news for you is it's over soon, and you will, especially the school district, Jennifer, you'll be seeing some revenue from that, which is great. We have no intent to extend any of the TIFs or anything like that. So does anybody have any questions on Prairie Lakes?
I was thinking it was done sooner. I was thinking it was done sooner than that. I thought it was 21 years from inception.
Yeah, good point. It's 23, so it's 2023. Just the revenue rolls in for the next year. So
Got it.
2024. Yeah,
Okay.
good question. So Dundee Crossings. Oh, and that's number 1.
Right.
Dundee Crossings is number 2. Dundee Crossings is a fairly large TIF of ours, and we saw increment of in 2020, that should say, of 885,000. The budget for this year was 1.1, but we're projecting about 1.3. The revenue here is growing dramatically due to the building out of the Terra Business Park. So we have a couple of industrial buildings. One is underway, one's completed, and then also the Speedway. So that's where you're going to see this revenue growth that's occurring. We actually had one other development that was not TIF supported, that was on the Orange Crush property. So that was good. That brought EAB. Everything within the Terra Business Park, because it was undeveloped land and needed roads and everything else, 90% goes back to Palumbo, Pal land. So even though it's earning a lot, the village doesn't really retain it. It's used to pay back notes from the development, from the site development. Other things that we have on this would be we have the JD Byrider loan. So that was something that was debt that was structured where JD Byrider pays back a portion of the debt, and the rest was a TIF redevelopment agreement incentive. Other debt service we have on this is the 2012 bond. That's JD Byrider. So that's the same one. 19% of the IEPA loan, and then 34% of the 2012A GO bond, and then the TIF, the PAL TIF note is the big one. That was what I explained. So we've seen 10 projects total. We had a couple of payouts. We did have a Coochie Ford payout. That would be our last Coochie Ford payout because Coochie Ford was bought by Dundee Ford. We renegotiated that agreement. It's no longer a TIF incentive agreement. It's a sales tax rebate agreement. So that will fall off of the TIF completely. Some updates. Besides the Terra Business Park, we saw the construction of the 36 units at 855 East Main, or 811 East Main, and now we're going to be seeing the construction of the apartments of 855 East Main. So the school district, Jennifer, you will be pay attention to this one because unlike the 811, 855 is a TIF supported redevelopment with a residential impact. So you and I will have to work together at some point on how to for the monies to be rebated. Same with you, Roxanne. This is the TIF supported redevelopment, so we'll have to work together. But we have accounted for that throughout the process. But I just wanted to make you aware that I understand that.
And what's the timeline on that getting built?
It's for this spring.
Okay, so occupancy and hitting the tax rolls for the following year.
Yes, yeah, we'll have to kind of keep an eye on when it hits the tax bill.
Right.
But we'll know because it'll be easy because the developer will submit for reimbursement. So they're not going to miss it. So as soon as the taxes go up, we'll know that they went up.
Okay.
Roxanne will miss it because she'll be gone.
Yeah, I need to calendar it for my replacement if I as close as I can.
Yeah, put a tickler out there for about 18 months and then.
Right, Heather, note.
Yeah.
And it's 855 Main?
855 East Main.
East Main. Okay.
So I did mention the Route 72 and Christina Drive EDP grant. So that signal is very close to actually happening. Now we are waiting on one signature or a handful of signatures from IDOT on an agreement, and we're supposed to be going out to bid very soon here. So, and fortunately, we are able to do the south leg of that intersection for Caterpillar. If you guys have noticed our new Caterpillar, and they're just about open. They had one little occupancy issue this week. So if you need any, end loaders or whatever, you know where to get them. Area of focus that we're still working on. Obviously, we're working on 611 Main, East Main. We're always exploring options. Trish knows, she's in the building. So we're doing the best we can. It's not the best design building. I am happy to report that Trish is using a lot of the building for good purposes, good township, nonprofit type purposes. So we feel good about that. But we always are exploring, other options also. And then River Valley Square is another area of focus for us. unfortunately, it's been a struggle. It is on the market, and we're working with someone who would like to do indoor storage, but River Valley Square is upside down in the TIF world. So it's not going to produce a lot anyway, unless we tear it down and build something major.
Where is that?
Oh, that's a Dominic's, sorry.
Dominic's.
The old Dominic's, yes. So that's something we're working on. And then I did mention on here, we have obviously created the new TIF, as you are aware, for the Caterpillar. And that's not part of this report because we didn't have an annual report for that. But we do have 12 acres left, and we're already soliciting. There's already interest in that 12 acres to develop that undeveloped. So that's really, really great news. Any questions on Dundee Crossing? Yeah, number 2. That's number 2. Sorry. Okay. The downtown TIF, that's TIF number 4. Is the increment is about 200,000, and it's growing a little bit with our estimate, but it's one of those where it's more difficult. We've done a lot of renovations and things that don't grow the TIF as much. So this is kind of our expensive TIF that doesn't make a lot of money, but I think if you've been to our downtown, you'll see that it's been very successful. So we've had 37 projects as of this last report. That's a lot of projects. We're down to I would say minimal payments. And we're in the process of starting new projects. So Made to Measure is one of our outstanding payments. We're still paying down 207 Barrington, and the police station is another big project that we did. And part of that is paying the fire district for the acquisition of the fire station. So some updates. What's going on in the TIF? We have DC Cobb's is going to be opening very soon here, probably by April, which is a new restaurant in our new 311 Barrington. 1 East Main it's been open, but there's proposed renovation for a second story. So we're happy to see that. That's the property that's right on the river as you come into East Dundee. So we're happy to see something there. And during that last fiscal year, we also renewed the lease for the caboose for 5 years to Duke. If anybody knows Duke, that's where you get your smoked meat. So
that seems like a really good partnership. He's doing he does a great job of marketing.
Yeah. He definitely gets Facebook,
Yes.
He gets Facebook and he gets people. So everybody loves Duke. So areas of focus really in the downtown, we've got parking lots. We have to work on, because unfortunately we are acquiring so many businesses that we're creating a parking problem, which is a very good problem to have. And then we are been working on a residential development along Hill Street for a couple of years now, and we're still negotiating that. It's a difficult one, but it would be something like 32 residential units in the downtown, which would help support our businesses. And one parcel of property is undeveloped, and the other one has a split level multifamily on it, which is aged quite a bit. So it's going to see good incremental growth. But more importantly, it's going to support the whole downtown as a whole. Yes, go ahead.
Jennifer, is that the area where next to River, let me think of the name of River Street Tavern?
Mm-hmm.
Hill along, is it that empty lot where that big pink house monstrosity was torn down?
No, that's a different one. But it's across river from there. Okay. Yes, that one Bandito's purchased.
Okay.
For a parking lot that they have yet to construct, and it's been an ongoing issue for the village. So yeah.
I think I posted something about that on Facebook over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was asking about it, and and so I looked up the news reports about it. it's supposed to be a grassed over lot now and not allowed to park on?
Correct. Well, yes, it can be a parking lot if it's constructed to be a parking lot according to code.
Right.
If it's left as a gravel lot, it must be grassed over. So that went through our hearing process a long time ago, and it's just, I would put that under parking lots, but that's a tough issue we've been working on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So other developments is we're always working on a lumberyard property owned by Dolores Soderline, if you know her. We've totally rebranded with new signage and things like that. So if anyone's seen our new logo, we're working on more entryway signage and branding for the town. We've kind of done something different in the last couple of years with planters and hanging baskets and things like that. And then we are attempting to work more on our riverfront, making that usable and accessible. We're hitting a little roadblocks here because we've tried to get some grant funding and we haven't been successful, but it's still something we're focused on. We actually own most of the right of way down the river, and we'd like to make it usable, walkable paths and things like that. But it takes money, so.
What about the at one point you were looking at working with the monument company to relocate and kind of vacate that space there? Is that still anything happening with that?
No, because there was like local resistance to that because we would have to close Water Street, and then there was a lot of opposition from some of our local businesses who thought it would make it more difficult to navigate, like Dairy Queen. And so we actually we let that project go, but yes, there was definitely an opportunity to negotiate with the monument company. So that's not off our radar, and they know that. If we were able to do something, but we are looking for, more grant funding, and we're also thinking about grant funding for if we are able at some point to acquire the lot next to the depot that's a gravel lot owned by Auto Engineering. We would definitely want to do something there to turn it into a park and an extension of our event space and things like that. So we're focusing on these areas. They're difficult, of course. So our downtown.
It's not just money. It's not just money. It's always political.
Yes, yes. And sometimes neither are in your favor. So the downtown is doing great though. Just if you're interested from a COVID perspective, our businesses have done really well. We saw great sales tax as we finished our analysis. And I'm happy to say that I think they're all going to survive. And just with the outdoor dining that they have out there and the carryout options, they were able to make it. So we feel like we're in a very strong position, and it's just getting better from here on out. So, and we do have some BDD grants that are outside of the TIF that are going to support the downtown even more. So we're going to see a few more improvements this year also. Christina Drive, TIF is number 3, I believe. And Christina Drive is partly it really is the Terra Business Park. It's the same deal, the Pale Land deal. It's just, it straddles 2 TIFs. So some of the development within Pale Land has happened on the Dundee Crossing side of the TIF, and some has happened on the Christina Drive. And so they're very similar in the fact that they support this Pale Land nodes. So the revenue that's attributable within that really falls back on this Pale note obligation. And as I mentioned before, this is adjacent to the Prairie Lakes. So this is where we're going to try to work on that intersection improvement. That's our next area. Not that exciting. There's still a lot of undeveloped land in Christina Drive. And we're doing the best we can, but a lot of it is deep into the Terra Business Park. So we're kind of working from Route 72 inward. one building at a time, one property at a time. But we are happy to see what we've seen so far, especially in the last couple of years there. Does anyone have questions on Christina Drive? Okay. Oh, sorry, it's a lot. Route 68 West is one of our like very small TIFs. And there's been 2 projects, and the outstanding project at this time is that we're just making payments on is Tovar Snow. We don't have a huge opportunity for areas of focus here, but we do have some adjacent development that we are working on, such as there's going to be, they're planning for an expansion of Chums, if you know where Chums is, and the pawn shop. The pawn shop is looking to, they're going to go out of business, and Chums is looking to acquire that strip mall, which would be a huge for the village as far as the look. And we're looking at incentivizing that with our BDD and trying to get something going. So we feel good about that area. A part of that intersection, I think that is always a struggle for us, is the mobile gas station area there. And so that's another area of focus in that vicinity that we've been working on, but it is more challenging. Obviously, the revenue received by Route 68 West is pretty insignificant. The Route 25 South is kind of like from the car dealership aspect, down to Gat Guns. So if you recall, this was kind of initiated because it was an annexation down to Gat Guns. This was before my time. Obviously, the big project here is the Gat Guns project, which we're still paying debt service on, but we're also paying on the Pampered Pets as well. So the revenue is about $75,000. There's not a lot of potential for growth here, but we're working on it because we never quite know. We do have more opportunities for annexation. We do have the milk pail down there. That's always an area of focus for us. We have to decide if we would want to get involved and at what point, because it does create a lot of issues the way it's being, run right now. So we would like to step in and do something that will cause great EAV growth and be wonderful down there. But and we've let the county know that. But that would be a matter of timing and ownership and things like that. So that's about it. Yes.
How far south does Dundee Township go? How far does East Dundee go there? South on 25?
It goes, I
Where
gotta pull,
Milk Pail is.
here, let me pull up the map real quick. It goes farther down on one side than the other.
Okay. No, it's okay. I know where Milk Pail is and Gat Guns.
It doesn't reach the milk pail. It stops. The milk pail was included in the original annexation, but I guess at the last minute, the milk pail pulled out.
Okay.
And so that's really the main property that isn't in there. And then obviously most of Max McGraw is not.
Yeah.
We just have strips connecting because they didn't want to be. I don't blame them. They're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And they do their own thing, which is fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So Penny Avenue is the last item here. This is another one for the school district. It's minor, but the school district and the library to pay attention to, because we do believe that we're going to be seeing now revenue from the 8 units. We converted those vacant professional offices into 8-unit apartments at 201 Penny. And there will be some revenue generated from that. So it's not very significant, but I want you to be aware that that it is out there and it is part of this agreement. It's a residential development that was supported by TIF. So, so next year there'll be one more, which will be the South Route 72 with the Caterpillar. So, but this year it wasn't in place for this reporting period. So overall, the TIFs are doing excellent. Excellent. I have worked in other towns where the TIFs have struggled. These TIFs, although they're struggling, the village has subsidized the initial struggles, and they're definitely pulling their weight, I would say now. And I think you can see it. I think you can see the progress for a small town that we've made. So with that, I will entertain any questions on any TIF districts or anything that I can answer or Brandis can answer.
Jennifer, I have one question, and it keeps going back to, I know it's the sore spot, but the IDOT Speedway stoplight, and I know, I think everybody on this call understands that it's really an IDOT who has to approve the stoplight. However, whether they live in the village of East Dundee, I hear it because everybody drives through the township and complains about it. Do we have an ETA? Are we, with IDOT? Is there really a conversation? I mean, I have people complaining that if Speedway opens up and there's trucks, they're not gonna, they're afraid they're gonna drive 72 because a truck's gonna run them over, because truck drivers don't pay attention, that kind of thing. Which, it has very little truth to that. But I know we talked about, do we have some definitive dates? Do we? I know
Yes and no. So IDOT has, we've had meetings every other week with IDOT for, I don't know, I think we've had 14 of them. So IDOT has tried to put this on the front burner. They've actually sped up their processes, which are very slow. So even speeding up a slow process is still slow. But we are waiting for a signatures to an agreement they sent us. We signed off on it, and they have to sign off on what they sent us, which apparently takes a long time. So we actually had a letting date, but we missed the publication period. So the letting date should be April. Now, could IDOT give us a surprise and say they've done, this has been going for 4 years now. I've been on this project for 4 years. Sure, they could have some other surprise, but IDOT has actually been pushing the project for us due to, I think, just how long it took to get to this point. It's been overly complicated because it's also grant funded by IDOT. So that's part of the holdup. They're going to be giving us $1.1 million for the signal. So that every time you take money, it creates extra time and complications. So, but we're pretty excited, and Trish, you should be seeing progress this year. So Speedway does intend to open it temporarily. Open without the signal, but that's what they're telling us today, but they've kind of gone back and forth on this for a while. But definitely, yeah, the gas station traffic isn't going to be that significant compared to the truck traffic that's already there.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes. Yeah, the truck traffic is really the reason for the signal. It was the truck traffic counts there, not necessarily the Speedway or anything else.
The driving, the driving school, right?
And everything, yeah. The Terra Business Park has a lot of truck leased space parking, and almost every business that's coming in there is somewhat truck related. So it's been good because we've gotten these businesses, because these businesses are utilizing. It's kind of like a relationship there,
right?
But it obviously creates a lot of truck traffic. So we're hoping real soon here, Trish.
Do you, and I don't really know because I don't go into the Terra Park. There's a stop sign there though, right? Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. So, anybody pulling out onto 72 would conceivably see a stop sign and would know to stop and look, for traffic. One would think you would look for traffic. Okay, I'm
Yeah, I
just,
mean, it's not like IDOT said you have to have a signal to have this speedway. It's the village said, we would really like this signal. Please give it to us. And then we had to justify that there were the traffic counts were there to give it to us.
okay,
So it's not an IDOT requirement that we have the signal. We wanted it to improve the functionality of the intersection.
And has the slowdown on getting the signal, is that what has caused Speedway to say we're gonna wait to open? Because I think that's what, everybody drives past the thing and goes, what the heck are they doing? It's been built, it's just sitting there.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, they've been torn on whether they should open or not. They really wanted to, Speedway really wanted that signal too, not just the village. Speedway doesn't want a gas station without a traffic signal. That's part of their corporate structure. So they were kind of just holding on to that. But yeah, I know it's kind of embarrassing, but yeah.
It is what it is. I have one other question, totally different property. And I don't know whether this is in one of the downtown TIF or not. Again, this is a Facebook question. And so I was trying to figure it out. Is there a property adjacent to Bandito Barney's that a house that is under renovation or was having some problems? Maybe the village owns it, or
there are properties adjacent to it. I'm not for sure.
maybe up the hill.
There are some code enforcement issues.
Okay,
There's some property maintenance, there's some properties that Banditos has acquired for parking as well. So there's a residential, that isn't in use right now. But nothing I can think of. I mean, I do know of a couple residential properties up that way that we've received code enforcement complaints. So that may be.
that's probably what it is.
Probably.
Complaining about the smell and siding coming off or something like that.
Could be. Yeah, we have our fair share of
Okay,
property maintenance issues. Yeah. Yes. Any other questions?
I think you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Really.
I do too.
Thank you. We really try, and I just can't thank the taxing bodies enough for being so supportive. I know when I came here, I was pretty scared that we had so many TIFs, and I was worried, how the taxing bodies would feel about that. So I'm glad you are supportive, and I'm glad we're actually making it work. And it's going to be to everybody's benefit, and I'm glad you can see that. So thank you for your patience, understanding, and please know I'm always here for any questions you might have. So I love to talk TIF. So does Brandis, right, Brandis? Okay, well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
thank you. Have a good day.
Oh, I guess we should adjourn. I'm
We have
sorry.
to
Can I get a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn? Thank you.
So move.
Second,
Trader Johnson,
Yes.
Trish Gleese,
Yes.
Jennifer Porter,
Yes.
Dave Peterson,
yes.
and Roxanne Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank
Nice
you. Have a
job.
good night.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.